dangerous turn, executing the strikes, their standard practice fighting. Seagal delivered a full force response, despite an unprofessional nature of Seagal's actions. Maintained his composure rather than retaliating. The production pattern of concerning behavior that perhaps most trouble how personal grief escalated. Lambert, the same stuntman incident, occurred during another incident on the same film. A particularly troubling incident from the set of On Deadly Grounds reveals a darker side of Steven Seagal's behind-the-scenes behavior, one that went beyond mere carelessness with fight choreography and into the realm of calculated revenge. Even Lambert's account, the situation began during casting when Seagal hired a stuntman who just happened to be Gene LaBelle. Stuntman unaware of the Seagal, his former instructor, had no reason to expect what was about to unfold. During the casting process, Seagal's demeanor was pleasant, offering a smirk, gave the stuntman a false sense of security about the upcoming scene. However, once again, Seagal's true intentions became clear. Abandoned any pretense of professional restraint, repeatedly slamming the stuntman with an intensity that far exceeded what the scene required. The excessive force seemed less about capturing the right shot and more about settling an old score. The incident painted a disturbing picture. Seagal apparently using his position of power to exact revenge on LaBelle vicariously through an unwitting student who had simply shown up to do his job. It stood as a stark example of how personal grievances could manifest in dangerous ways on Hollywood set, with an unsuspecting stunt professional caught in the crossfire of a field that he knew nothing about. But it wasn't just stunt performers who faced Seagal's aggressive behavior. Even established actors weren't immune.
Even ain't nothing but a big-ass bully just because he knows some karate and shit.
Oh, he's a bully, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, fair enough.
The 1996 filming of Executive Decision became notorious for an altercation that, unlike some other Seagal stories, has been clearly documented and corroborated. During a production meeting, Seagal made a bold declaration of being in command of the set.
A list of stuff your car insurance company does but is actually illegal. Number one, they are not allowed to ask you.
We were in rehearsals for Executive Decision, okay? I'm playing his master sergeant, and we come in for rehearsals, and he comes in, I'm in command.
A statement that struck actor John Leguizamo as absurd enough to warrant a laugh. Seagal's response to this perceived disrespect was immediate and physical.
Hey, the first day we get together for rehearsal with the actors and the director, he comes in, I'm in command. What I say is law. You disagree? And I started cracking. I was like, I thought he was kidding. We were just hanging out.
Yeah.
He slammed Leguizamo against the wall with enough force that the actor later recalled.
And he Aikido'd me against the brick wall. He's 6'5" and caught me off guard, knocked all the air at me. I was like, oh, why?
Leguizamo's recounting of the incident highlighted the surreal nature of Seagal's behavior, with the actor noting that Seagal seemed unable to separate his on-screen persona from reality, saying, "This dude thinks he's a real action hero. Like, chill, it's a movie, bro." The incident took on an ironic twist when Seagal's character was killed off within the first 20 minutes of the film. While this may have been the original plan, some speculated that the early exit may have been influenced by his behavior on set. The incident became yet another chapter in the growing collection of stories about Seagal's difficult on-set behavior. Well, let's jump back to 2001. As soon as filming began, the exit move set became a pressure cooker. It wasn't just one thing, it was everything. The crew was frustrated, cast was struggling to deal with Seagal's erratic behavior, and at the center of it all was an actor who refused to follow directions. Let's start with Tom Arnold. Now, Arnold is a comedian, not a martial artist. He's not someone who would be caught up in the same physical tension that Seagal had with fighters like Michael Jai White or with stunt performers, but even he had problems working with Seagal. Years later, in interviews, Arnold hinted that Seagal was an absolute challenge to work with.
we were shooting on a houseboat, lake up in Toronto. The director said, well, let's practice. Let's rehearse this scene one time. It's kind of complicated. And Steve goes like, he goes, no, seriously, just for camera, will you let us No, let's just shoot it. Let's shoot this. Anyways, he starts, and Steve goes like, well, I will tell you one thing. He starts to get up and goes, I'm going to kick all your asses. And he starts walking. I'm going to say, oh my gosh, you're going to the wrong door. But then I know what's happening. So like, holy shit, this is awesome. And he takes a step and he drops into the ocean. But, you know, that was fun. That was great.
That's amazing.
A great moment. But I remember going, I should tell him. And I look at the director and he's like, and then he walks and then.
If you read between the lines, the message was clear. Seagal made filming harder than it needed to be. And one of the weirdest complaints from actors who worked with Seagal, he refused to run. Seagal, by this point, had developed an aversion to looking vulnerable on camera. He refused to run in action sequences, something that became a meme in later years.
What I really want to say is how big and fat he is and how he runs like a...
What about Steven Seagal?
Can you tell Steven Seagal?
Steven Seagal.
Okay, okay.
If you watch Exit Wounds, you'll notice there's almost no footage of Seagal actually running. For a Hollywood action star, I think that's a huge problem. Even actors like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was known for playing the unstoppable hero, still had moments of vulnerability in their movies. By 2001, he was actively fighting against any trail of weakness. That ego would be a recurring issue throughout the entire shoot. But Seagal's difficult behavior wasn't just affecting the actors. As the production continued, tensions would escalate in increasingly dangerous ways. Now, if there's one event that truly shook the production of Exit, it was the accident that happened to stuntman Chris Lehman.
It was just so crazy. On the day one, stuntman died from a simple stunt, cracked his head open. And the rumor was, and the story was, more insulin getting his wardrobe.
Lehman was an experienced stunt performer who had worked on dozens of Hollywood action films, but during Exit Wounds, something went terribly wrong. While performing a dangerous vehicle stunt, Lehman suffered critical injuries. He was rushed to the hospital and unfortunately, he never recovered. He passed away due to complications from head injuries that he sustained. Now let's be clear, this accident wasn't directly Seagal's fault, but it did create a serious shift in the atmosphere on set. After Lehman's injury, the tension became palpable. The entire crew felt it. The stunt team definitely felt it. And suddenly, people were looking at every dangerous stunt sequence with a lot more hesitation. This was supposed to be Seagal's comeback movie, but instead, it became a film overshadowed by behind-the-scenes chaos, injuries, and ultimately tragedy. And this is where the production team made a shocking decision. They had one last major fight scene to shoot, the big final showdown between Steven Seagal and Michael Jai White. And after everything that happened, they actively encouraged Michael Jai White to take out Steven Seagal for real.
You're trying to get me to hurt Steven Seagal.
We're trying out the Roto Q360. It's portable, foldable, and affordable. We got this one on.
By the time Exit Wounds reached its final fight scene, the set was already in chaos. Chris Lehman's tragic stunt accident had cast a dark shadow over the production. DMX had been injured, Seagal was making things difficult, and tensions among the cast and crew were at an all-time high. And now it was time to shoot the big final fight, the moment that was supposed to bring everything together. But here's the problem. This fight wasn't just between two characters, it was between two men, one who built his reputation on invincibility, and the other who had nothing to prove to anyone.